Now CM Punk, buckshot, lariat.
What the hell?
For some of his peers in pro wrestling, CM Punk is the best in the world at being hated. These are some of the stars who are definitely not part of Punk's cult of personality. Numerous former WWE talent signed with AEW in 2021, and CM Punk was undoubtedly one of the biggest marquee names to do so. But he was also joined by more recent WWE superstars, including former Undisputed Era members Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. Fish didn't stick around in AEW for too long, departing less than a year after his debut, once contract talks fell apart. Not long after his departure, the former member of the Red Dragon tag team opened up about his time in AEW, including his match with Punk. In an interview with NBC Sports Boston, Fish criticized Punk's martial arts abilities and said he was rude to him after the match. He said, name-dropping infamous wrestling tough guy Haku, "Frankly, as a martial artist, I went and laid my shoulders down for you. Like, you should be grateful that I did, because on national TV, if I decided that if I wanted to Haku your ass, I could have, because you're that little bit of a threat in my world." Fish added that Punk used Kenta's finisher, the go to sleep, but didn't bother to even change the name of the move. He then challenged Punk to a fight. There are some definite unwritten rules of etiquette in pro wrestling, one of them being the belief that if someone uses another performer's signature move, they should ask that specific wrestler for permission first and probably change the name of the move. Judging by New Japan Pro Wrestling star Kenta's comments, CM Punk never spoke to him about using the finisher that the Japanese pro wrestler invented, the go-to-sleep. When Bobby Fish first raised alarm bells about it, Kenta took to Twitter, reposting Fish's comments and stating, "Hey Bobby, you are 100% right." A few days later, Kenta posted another tweet explaining how he wasn't able to use his own finisher for 4 years and how it was a terrible experience for him. He was specifically referring to his time in WWE as Hideo Itami. Kenta arrived in WWE when Punk was on his way out. Punk soon became embroiled in a lawsuit with the company, so Kenta's inability to use the GTS may have had more to do with the WWE trying to distance themselves from anything to do with Punk than trying to preserve the move. The way CM Punk and Ryback have been at each other's throats, one would think they had a game-changing feud as grand and dramatic as Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Their in-ring rivalry was really just a few WWE matches that hardly anyone remembers. Yet these two men positively despise each other. It all started when Punk revealed that he found Ryback to be stiff and dangerous in the ring in his infamous 2014 appearance on Colt Cabana's The Art of Wrestling podcast. Punk said, "He's very hurty, sometimes deliberate. There was one time he kicked me in the stomach as hard as he could, and he broke my ribs right at the tail end, and I never got an apology for that." Ryback didn't appreciate Punk's comments, believing them to be inaccurate and malicious. He took digs at the straight-edge superstar on social media and continues to do so when the opportunity presents itself. Explaining why he hasn't let it go, Ryback revealed on his YouTube channel that it's because Punk's comments had a negative impact on his professional wrestling career.
I just think it's a personal thing he has against me, and I think it was a popularity thing back then.
Before CM Punk signed with AEW, he appeared to be on good terms with the Young Bucks. The Bucks and Kenny Omega even teased Punk joining the promotion by playfully tweeting and wearing t-shirts with possible clues. Considering they were all Ring of Honor alumni and indie darlings, it looked like this partnership would be a match made in heaven for everyone involved. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way, as the now infamous 2022 All-Out post-show media scrum revealed some serious heat between Punk and the AEW EVPs. Punk blamed the Bucks for leaking rumors to the press that he tried to get his former friend Colt Cabana fired, while also trying to bury his push as a babyface. He lashed out at their leadership qualities, stating they, quote, weren't fit to manage a target, and insulting their intelligence. Right after Punk's comments, a brawl ensued among the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Punk, and Punk's confidant, Ace Steel. This brawl resulted in a host of suspensions for everyone involved, so it's highly unlikely that Punk and the Bucks will be sitting down for a future fun-filled episode of Being the Elite. It's widely known that CM Punk resents that he never headlined a WrestleMania. It's clear this must have been a personal goal of his, so it's natural that he'd have some frustrations over not achieving it in his time in WWE. For example, it appears he still holds a grudge about The Miz headlining WrestleMania 27 over him in 2011. In 2019, Punk returned as an analyst for the show WWE Backstage, where he announced his arrival with a riff on one of Rowdy Roddy Piper's catchphrases, saying, "Just when they think they've got the answers, I change the culture." A while later, The Miz made a joke out of Punk's words, saying in a video posted to the WWE on Fox Twitter account, Sorry, I didn't change the culture, my bad. Punk didn't take the joke well, replying in a now-deleted tweet, Go suck a blood money-covered d*** in Saudi Arabia, you f***ing dork. On the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast, The Miz addressed the issue, explaining he was surprised by Punk's reaction since he was unaware of any bad blood between the two.
To be honest, I thought we were friends. And, it's just one of those things where you're like, God, man, I don't know.
Colt Cabana and CM Punk have a fascinating history. They're both from Chicago, and online World of Wrestling notes they both trained under Ace Steel. All three men were part of a Ring of Honor stable called the Second City Saints. Outside of the ring, Cabana and Punk were, at one time, the best of friends, attached at the hip for many years. You may remember Punk even mentioning Cabana by name in his famous pipe bomb promo on a 2011 episode of Raw.
Hey, Colt Cabana, how you doing?
Several months after Punk left WWE in 2014, he appeared on an episode of Cabana's The Art of Wrestling podcast. That episode resulted in a lawsuit in which WWE physician Chris Amon sued both Punk and Cabana. Cabana and Punk ended up suing each other afterwards, and it seems their friendship came to an end too. For years afterwards, the two remained silent on the issues between them. But Punk let loose on Cabana at the All Out post-event media scrum. He went into explicit detail about their issues and the lawsuit between them and made it very clear he had no interest in anything to do with Cabana. Many fans often discuss the WWE's rendition of ECW with a raised eyebrow. The reincarnation of the legendary promotion failed to light the world on fire like the original did, and it's generally regarded as a misfire. That said, it did have several bright spots that are often overlooked. For one, the ECW redo helped to launch the WWE careers of performers including CM Punk and Elijah Burke, who both received significant TV time and established themselves as future superstars. Punk and Burke faced off in ECW more than a few times, but Punk wasn't exactly a fan of their clashes. In an interview with WISK-FM, Punk said Burke was his least favorite opponent, adding, Does anyone even remember Elijah Burke? Oh, he was terrible. He is absolutely the worst. Talk about a diva. Man, oh man, sorry if you liked him. When Burke was asked by PW Mania about Punk's comments, he stated that he wasn't concerned about it. Burke explained that if he had something to say to Punk, he would have told it to his face, like he had done so before, rather than say it behind his back. Out of all of the people CM Punk has heat with, the most unexpected is Dylan Postel, better known as Hornswoggle in the WWE. Hardly anyone has ever had a bad word to say about Hornswoggle, yet even he seemed to have had a disappointing past encounter with Punk. Appearing on Kayfabe Commentary's You Shoot series, Finley's former partner in crime revealed how he and Punk had been as thick as thieves for quite some time. But there was one incident that changed everything between them. Postel said he asked for a phone number of a mutual friend that he'd lost, and Punk didn't react well to the request, presuming that Hornswoggle was using him to get to someone else. Hornswoggle didn't understand the reaction since they were both friends with the person, but it seemingly changed everything afterwards, and they no longer speak to each other. Both Eddie Kingston and CM Punk view themselves as speakers of the truth. They proclaim to always be honest to a fault, even if it hurts feelings or rubs people the wrong way. So it's rather amusing that the two of them have real-life beef with each other. Punk hasn't discussed their issues all that much, preferring to take occasional shots on Twitter or live television in ways that don't make it quite clear if it's all for show or not. Kingston, on the other hand, hasn't shied away from how he feels about Punk. In a 2022 interview with Busted Open Radio, Kingston called Punk not a good dude and went on to name-check Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli.
I'll give it to you plain and simple. I don't like Jericho. I don't like Bryan. I don't like Claudio. I don't like Punk.
The scripted drama of pro wrestling is what draws fans in, but it's the real-life heat that keeps lots of fans invested. The heat between Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk boiled over into something very big over the course of a few months. In the build-up to their championship clash at AEW Double or Nothing 2022, Page cut a promo on Punk on Dynamite, in which Punk claims Page went off script and suggested he needed to save AEW from someone like the straight-edge superstar. Reportedly, Page did so because of the backstage belief that Punk had tried to convince AEW president Tony Khan to fire Colt Cabana, something which Khan has since denied. Months later, Punk served a receipt to Page when he called him out on Dynamite, knowing Hangman wasn't scheduled to respond. Punk proceeded to brand Page's actions as coward, a riff on Page's cowboy, catchphrase. At the all-out post-show media scrum, Punk claimed that Page had gone into business for himself and laid into the former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. He threw several expletives around when describing Page and called his behavior, quote, a disgrace to the industry.
No! Styles Clash!
CM Punk and AJ Styles have a lot in common. Both men established themselves as major stars in an industry of big men by winning over the crowd. Even before they hit the big time and became household names, they dominated the indies and developed the reputation of being two of the best wrestlers in the world. Yet Punk and Styles aren't exactly sharing hockey anecdotes and dog grooming tips behind the scenes. Punk and Styles have clashed in the press a few times over the years. Styles made his thoughts about Punk incredibly clear on a Twitch session in 2020. When asked by a fan about a potential matchup between the two, Styles replied, "Nope, that will never happen. I don't have to go into detail about that one. I think it's pretty obvious where things stand. I'm not a fan." The two did wrestle each other about 20 years ago in Ring of Honor and TNA, so there is evidence of how epic another bout between the two of them could be, unlikely as it is. CM Punk has built his career on being anti-establishment. In WWE, he stole the limelight with the pipe bomb promo, in which he laid into all the authority figures, including Triple H. The tension between the two wasn't just on screen, but behind the scenes too. After Punk left WWE, he revealed on The Art of Wrestling that he felt the game didn't do what was best for business, instead looking out for himself. Punk said WWE chairman Vince McMahon wanted him to wrestle Triple H at WrestleMania 30. Punk said he turned to the game and replied, "All due respect, I do not need to wrestle you, you need to wrestle me." To date, Triple H has remained mostly quiet about any underlying tension between the two. On the Steve Austin show in 2015, the game claimed he didn't know anything about the supposed issues between them, and that he had no problems with the straight-edge superstar. He acknowledged that he wished Punk and the WWE's bitter feud could have been avoided, and for all parties to have parted ways on better terms. He also expressed that Punk held grudges about booking decisions and didn't communicate if he was unhappy about something when it happened.